We all know Warframe is a game full of lots of weapons and lots of frames, and then there's Baro. Baro has a huge inventory when he brings everything, which he will be doing this coming Tennocon. Which does mean you have to buy the Tennocon digital pack, but there it is, to get the ticket for Baro's relay, where on the 20th of July until the 26th of July, he will have his entire inventory. All of it. He will be bringing everything. So, here's my top 10 things that you may want to pick up from Baro before he disappears with that. But quick disclaimer, you will of course have to have bought the Tennocon digital pack to get the ticket to be able to visit him. Hopefully this is something that one day they may change and him have a special event where he comes and does this, but it doesn't cost money. Like every 100th visit, he turns up with absolutely everything, and I'm seeing that because 150 visits he's had as of Tennocon being on. That's 250 normal visits, not including the special visits. So if that's 250 normal visits, that means it's another year before he gets onto his 300th one anyway. In at number 10 has to be the Galaxian Vandal. It would be higher up on the list, but let's be 1000% honest about this. There is a better version. The Tenet Galaxian is actually better, which lowered this down the list, but it's still on here because it is still a hell of a hard-hitting, cold damage-based weapon. The Tenet, so much better than this. When it comes to Galaxians, the Tenet is basically king of them all. But the Vandal is just as good as long as you only want to hit one person with it, and the only way to get it is to get it from Baro. In at number 9, the Lisette Prisma skin. The Prisma skins for landing crafts look amazing. There are other ones, the Scimitar has one, the Xino, whatever you want to call it, has one, but everybody has the Lisette ship as default. So if any of the Prisma skins for landing crafts was going to be on the list, it had to be the Lisette one. And the Prisma skins look amazing just from the way it has the moving effect on it. It just makes them look so much better, and you're not buying one from the marketplace using platinum, meaning you can have a better looking Lisette without spending platinum. Plus, Prisma skins themselves just look absolutely amazing anyway. In at number 8 is the Opticore Vandal, only if you've had it and sold it. Kind of weird one saying it that way, yes, but this was first introduced in Operation Buried Debts. It reappears with the Thermia Fractures every time the Thermia Fractures returns, because technically that is just like them running the operation again. And all you need to do if you have never had the Opticore Vandal before is get 100 points from Thermia Fractures missions and you will receive this weapon for free. If you have not had this weapon before, it is not worth picking up from Baro unless you don't want to do the Thermia Fractures. Then it's worth picking up from him, or you have sold it. But this thing, I love the Opticore. The Opticore Vandal is just better in almost every single way. I am still in hope that the other variant turns up, but I've had that argument with so many people, it's not worth having again. But the Opticore Vandal, it is definitely better than the Galaxian Vandal is, depending on what you're using it for, which is the only reason it's higher on the list than the Galaxian Vandal, even though this, again, if you haven't had it before, you can acquire it from the Thermia Fractures by getting 100 points there instead of buying it. In at number 7, the 3-day mod drop chance booster. It gets mods to drop more often. And the only reason this is on the list, and at number 7, is because the only way to get this outside of the marketplace is to get it from Baro. it doesn't really drop from anywhere else, so it kind of had to be on the list somewhere, because if you are looking for that one mod that you have been missing, this will increase the chance of it actually finally dropping. In at number 6, Primed Pistol Gambit, 187% crit chance for pistols. If you are running a decent secondary with a decent crit build, this is kind of a big must. In at number 5, obviously, Primed Target Cracker, 110% crit damage. If you're going to get Primed Target Gambit, you kind of have to go for Primed Target Cracker as well, because the two together, if I was tempted on making the two of them one, because if you're running one, you kind of should be running the other one as well. It does mean polarizing a weapon with 2v polarities for these things, but it is so worth it, because any crit based secondary with these things on, they work so much better. But then again, that's what primed mods are supposed to do. In at number 4, Primed Animal Instinct, plus 55 loot radar, plus 33 enemy radar, meaning your companion will basically give you the ability to see lootable boxes, resources that have been dropped on the floor, and enemies as well on the minimap, which is great. And once you have played it with this active, when you take your sentinel off and you can't see the resources, you kind of realise just how useful this mod can actually be. And when you can't see the enemies, you can find really quickly. It's kind of a must for any companion. Going from 30 to 55. Actually, it's just 50, wasn't it? No, it is 55. And the enemy radar being 33 on Primed Animal Instinct is not as big on the normal version, because the normal version is only 18. So, you know, it goes from 30 loot radar to 55, and from 18 enemy radar to 33. It doesn't quite double it, but it gets close, making it just one of those primed mods you kind of have to get. In at number 3, Primed Continuity, this would be plus 55% ability duration, and it is one of those mods that is a must for any frame that is duration based, because it is much higher than the normal continuity. Yes, it does need more points. It's a 14-point mod. It is a primed mod. It will also cost a lot more to get it to that point. But once you have it maxed and start putting it on all frames, forming them with a V polarity to put this on there, this will make pretty much every frame have more duration, which is just better in every way. At number 2, it has to be the Prisma Lens. I wish this could have been higher up on the list, but it has returned several times. This has got to be one of the better bows in the game. I'm not saying the best, I can think of one in particular that is much better than this, but when it comes to bows that create explosions that are rather large and take out big groups of enemies, you don't really get much better than this. And being a Prisma based weapon, the only way to get it is of course from Baro, or trade for it. But the traded one will have come from Baro, because the only way to get the Prisma weapons is to buy them from Baro. And yeah, we had 2 Vandals on here, a Prisma weapon was going to be on here somewhere, and it had to be the Prisma Lens. Out of all of them, you have melees that have high attack speed, you have secondaries that can pin enemies to walls, you have primaries that are great one-shots, and then you have the Prisma Lens that is just all round. I'm not going to say better than the rest of them. It depends what you're doing as to what can be used where, but the Prisma Lens, definitely high on the list of some of the better weapons that he sells. And of course, in at number 1, last year's Twitch drop, the Godfa Prime Rifle. Maybe not the most important and most effective weapon of all time, but it is up there amongst some of the better weapons, just simply because of its exclusivity. Simply down to the fact that you can only get this thing when Baro actually turns up with it. Yes, this entire list is made up of items that Baro can sell. Yes, this entire list is made up of items that you can pick up tomorrow from the special Baro relay if you have purchased the digital ticket. But don't forget, before you go to the comments section and go on about you can only buy this if you pay for it, every single one of the items on this list, hence no prime chamber, can be obtained from him when he actually turns up normally. This was just kind of a, he is coming, he has a special visit, so while he is here, if you have picked up this, kind of the best time of the year to do a top 10 items that he can sell at any time, not just for Tennocon, meaning the Godfa Prime, it has returned twice in the past year. It means that this year's Twitch drop weapon will probably be sold by him as well. Oh, ammo mutation is kind of necessary on this, sadly. Yeah, this is footage from the video that I made of this last year. Because the Godfa Prime is number one simply because it can do things like this to level 195 enemies. It is not the best, no, but being a Baro weapon, it is one of my most favourite weapons that he actually sells. I was using this thing for absolutely ages, and then kind of swapped over to other things. We'll be going back to it, of course, because if you match the elemental combo to the enemy you are going up against, the Godfa Prime, definitely got to be one of the top 10, if not the best thing he possibly sells. But with that, we'll leave this off here. Let me know in the comments section, what's your top 10 items that Baro can bring that you would recommend to other players? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.